Flu season doesn't wait, and neither should you. The smart move is to prepare before anyone in your family gets sick. That's why we recommend All Family Pharmacy. They let you stock up ahead of time on Tamiflu, antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, vitamins, and more, delivered right to your door. And the best part? Every order includes the doctor's prescription, so there's no insurance, hassles, or last-minute pharmacy runs. Be proactive, not reactive. Prepare today. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk and use code KIRK10 to save 10% today. We are live here in studio. Got, of course, Tyler Boyer, COO of Turning Point Action, one of the most important activists in the country. Tyler Boyer, I just want to give you some flowers, some kudos there.
Exactly.
But we're also joined this hour by a great friend of the show, great friend of Arizona, great friend of the country, a patriot, Sheriff Mark Lamb. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me on. This is a true privilege.
Yeah.
I wish Charlie were here as well with
course.
us, but and my condolences to all of you guys and to everybody, the Turning Point family, and of course Erica and her kids. But he's a true patriot, and it's an honor to be on the show today.
Yeah, well, we're honored to have you here, and we've got to fill the audience in on some updates because there's a lot of moving pieces. We think about 2026, we think about 2028, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Tyler, you are one of the key players, I would say, nationally that is working to make sure that the conservative grassroots. I mean, Charlie always said we want Republicans in Congress, in the Senate, in the White House that are as conservative as the base. Tyler, explain, set the stage, and then we'll throw it to Sheriff Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem that we have across the country right now is we need to convince good people to run for office, and they have to be ready to go, meaning they have to have some backing, already some name ID, some understanding of what the issues are that are at hand. And, that's why it's so exciting to see good people run. And I think you have some big news today, right?
I do, and I agree with
Sheriff
you wholeheartedly. And I just want to say thank you for the work that Turning Point and Turning Point Action has done, mobilizing. We changed that election. You guys changed that election for President Donald Trump. And now we have him in office. And look at what we've been able to do in 2 years, getting the border under control. It's not fixed long term, and that's where we need more patriots in office that are going to stand up and fight for American values. So I can't, like any good cop, I can't run from a fight. And so I'm announcing today my candidacy for CD5, which is East Mesa, Apache Junction, Santan Valley, Gilbert,
Boom.
South Chandler. And I'm getting in because, listen, I believe in America, and thank you. I believe in America. I believe in our history, our birthright, and I think America has a bright future, and I want to be part of it.
Well, this
Amen.
district is really special because this is Andy Biggs' district. So this
Yes.
is really, a lot of people have called this the epicenter of the Freedom Caucus because this is Andy Biggs, as we know, was the longstanding chair of the Freedom Caucus. So what does that mean to you? What's kind of your vision for why you're running for Congress, what you're hoping to do and carry on that legacy?
Well, those are big shoes to fill. Andy has been a stalwart in the Freedom Caucus. He understands the Constitution and representing his people, and he has that belief in God, family, freedom like I do, where his decisions are trying to always do what's right by his citizens and taking those three things into consideration. And so those are big shoes to fill. I'm honored to even be able to try to run and get in this position behind Andy because what he's done for I live in CD5. I couldn't be more proud to have him as a congressman. I hope to have him as a governor as well. And I hope that I can go in there. I've met with the Freedom Caucus. I want to be, back a few months ago, I met with him, told him I was thinking about this. And I truly want to be the champion for Arizona and freedom like Andy has been for the state of Arizona and for CD5 for so long. So big shoes to fill, but I'm confident that we can go in there and do it. I'm cut from the same cloth. Look, I believe in God, family, freedom. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in America. I believe in all the things that built this country. And like you said, we need proven fighters in this realm right now. We may only have a couple more years. Well, we know we've got a couple more years of President Trump. Hopefully we can take the Congress again and be able to do some really great work over the next 2 years. And we need guys that can hit the ground running. And I know that I can do that in CD5 for the people of Arizona and of CD5 and honestly for this country.
Yeah, I mean, you are so well known across the country, from your live PD days to everything.
60 days in, all that stuff.
Everything else that you've done. And then obviously you ran for Senate. Very, very friendly race. I just think it was just kind of an interesting thing here. What is your plan kind of moving forward to hit the ground running, because you're so well known? How do you think that you're going to be able to be a voice on behalf of Americans as soon as you get into Congress? What's the first thing that Mark Lamb's going to tackle?
Well, look, I pride myself on my work ethic. So first of all, you got to get into the office. You know, we've got to work hard, and I'm going to show the people of CD5 that I'll work just as hard for them in Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of issues. You know, the border is still something that's got to be solidified. What we saw from President Trump coming in is we didn't need more laws.
Yep.
We needed a new president. And now what we need, and a new leader, that because he's truly a leader and he's taken us places that this country has been needing to go for a long time. But he needs the help. He needs the support. And he's been there. We got to make sure that we continue with that. And so I hope to help him fix the border long-term, get some long-term fixes through Congress. Yes. We want to make sure we continue to fund and support our law enforcement across this country, federal, and we want to give all the support to the states for their state and local law enforcement. Obviously, beyond that, we've got economy, we've got, Social Security, we've got a lot of other things. We've got water here in Arizona. There are a lot of issues we're going to have to dive into. We need people that have been to that, down to the Capitol, been to D.C., that have been fighting for these things for years, and I hope to be that champion. But obviously, I think the border, securing that, making sure that we get a long-term fix to the border and remove the people that have been in this country illegally, I think is some of the things that I hope to be able to help President Trump do.
Well, I have a question on that. I mean, you've seen ICE facilities get shot up. You've seen this 1,000% increase on assaults on ICE agents. I mean, I think basically most of the energy that the Dems showed with this No Kings nonsense came from the immigration policies of President Trump, right? The ICE agents, they're calling it, and some of the National Guard story as well. But then you had this story that came out of Los Angeles yesterday where a federal agent was shot trying to arrest an illegal alien in L.A., and I guess the illegal alien got shot. There was a ramming incident involved. Let's go ahead and play this news report really quick, and I'm going to get your reaction to it. 2:35.
A U.S. Marshal and an illegal alien were both shot in L.A. It was during an immigration operation. Both at this time, we are told, have non-life-threatening injuries. Fox is told that federal agents surrounded and boxed in a target. That target then rammed federal vehicles in an attempt to escape. The feds fired their weapons. One U.S. Marshal was hit in his hand in what initially appears to be a bullet ricochet. The target criminal alien was hit in the elbow, we are told. Both expected to be okay, and they are at the hospital.
And then just one extra clip here, actually, that I think is really important. Democrats are announcing that they are creating a master ICE tracker now, Sheriff Lamb. 2:43.
I shared this with the mayor. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, the Oversight Committee will be launching on their website a master ICE tracker where we're going to be essentially tracking every single instance that we can verify that the community will be able to send us information on.
So this is putting a direct target on the backs of federal agents. It's endangering their lives, not to mention a clear obstruction of federal immigration law.
Absolutely. This is why we've seen, a 600 to 1,000% increase in attacks on our federal law enforcement. They're doing it because you have politicians like this who are going out, or Tim Walz saying, these guys are the Gestapo. No, they're doing the job that Congress actually lined out and said, this is why we want you to, these are the rules of being in our country, and if you come in the country illegally, we're going to remove you. And I think that the media and the politicians bear the responsibility for the violence that we're seeing against our federal law enforcement. And we need to start holding people accountable. Just, you talk about the federal law. Title 8, Section 1324 says that it is illegal to shield, harbor, or conceal. I mean, this is shielding, harboring, and concealing anybody who you know to be in this country
and
illegally.
They're provoking these conflicts with ICE agents all over the country, and we're seeing this a lot in California, where they have these roving bands of volunteers that just so happen to have legal representatives standing by in case something happens. And if they happen to provoke ICE agents, who, by the way, are on high alert because they're getting shot at, they're getting attacked, they're getting their cars rammed by the Latin Kings and other groups that actually want them dead. And so then these volunteers go and try and track their movements, and they act surprised when there is a conflict that happens. So the seat is open, and the worst thing that could happen to this country is if the seat was open and then it got replaced by some rhino or some, feckless wonder that nobody knew and nobody cared about. Instead, you are rising to the occasion. We were talking about in the break that you are one of the few people anybody could think of with the name ID, the patriotism, the passion, the credibility on the most important hot button topics, especially immigration. And so we're grateful to you that you're stepping to the plate. I know it's a sacrifice for your family. It's a sacrifice for you personally. And we're just grateful that you're willing to do it.
Well, I appreciate it. And look, the sacrifice, we look at, Charlie's lived a life. President Trump has made sacrifices. So many great, Andy's made sacrifices. We need those people, those true patriots that are unapologetic for America, for God, for family, for having children, all the things that, when at the memorial for Charlie, when you guys did that event, just all the things that he talked about and the way he talked about it, he was never apologetic for it. He was a stalwart defender of the values that built this country, and I'm honored to be in a position to where I could go out and do the same thing. I want to be the representative for CD5. I want to go to Washington, D.C. and defend the people's constitutional rights, their freedom. I want to be unapologetic about God, family, and the things that make this country great.
Well, and your family has a connection. We talked about this, and I don't want to get too emotional here with all of this, but we lost Charlie. I know you and your sweet wife Janelle went through the heartache of losing your son Cooper, and just the connection that's there with all of that. And I know that drives you.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that. And again, I don't mean to spring that on you, but
No, look, it's a big part of our life, and it's part of what drives us. Part of the reason why I ran for Senate was we lost my son, my granddaughter, my 22-year-old son, my 11-month-old granddaughter. My daughter-in-law died a few days later from somebody driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol.
That's right.
But what it reminded us is there is no guarantee for tomorrow, and that the only thing we take with us is what we do in this life. And there's an old Danish saying that says that he who has the ability has the responsibility.
Right.
And it's hard to walk away knowing you have the ability to come in and defend the values and the freedoms that this country was built on, to defend God, to defend all of what we believe as a family. And losing my son and my granddaughter really put all that into perspective, and my daughter-in-law put that into perspective for us. Losing Charlie put it into perspective for me again and made me realize now is the time. We're, like Esther says, we're made for times like this. And so I know that's not exactly how she said it. I put it in Mark Lamb terms.
No, it's great.
We're made for such a time as this. And so I would be doing a disservice to my family, to my country, if I stood on the sidelines at this time. So.
Well, and I know that speaks a lot to those that know you very, very closely and very personally. People know you, I think, more broadly as the sheriff and the big bad sheriff that's kind of representing conservative values against some of the negativity that we just talked about with the left just trying to run over our nation with lawlessness and crime. But that we just talked about, that crime has personally affected all of us that are sitting here and in different ways. And so having somebody step up like yourself to fight with that I know that's deep down, really imprinted on your soul, I think matters a whole lot for people to understand and know.
Yeah, well said. I see you as I think a lot of America sees you as a strong man who's willing to fight the good fight to keep us safe, to stand up. You were standing in the gap during a lawless administration that was allowing our country to be invaded, and you were patrolling that border day in, day out, and you weren't just patrolling it, you were waving the alarm bells, trying to tell the country and the world of just how bad it had gotten. And a man that's willing to do that when there's nobody that has your six, nobody has your back, and you're willing to stand in the gap and do that speaks to your character and your courage. And that's what we're going to need, especially as our brave ICE agents are getting targeted like never before. We need more support and backup for this fight right now.
Well, thank you for that. And look, America's best days are ahead. I truly believe that. But we need people that aren't afraid. During COVID, I stood up against the lockdowns. I stood against the mask mandates, the vaccines. Then we had the whole border issue. And I hope that people realize and see that I'm a proven conservative fighter. And I would love to continue that fight and do it on a national level.
We're gonna do everything we can at this show and at Turning Point Action to have your back, and because you've had ours, and you are a proven conservative fighter. Charlie loved you. He respected you, and I know that.
And marklamb.us, by the way, but thank you, because I keep forgetting marklamb.us.
Marklamb.us. Donate, support his campaign, volunteer, get out to vote. We're going to be doing our part. Please do yours.